We're talking about the top 10 best decks in Marvel Snap right now, and we're getting started with Dak and Destroy. Dak and Destroy is a deck that pretty much does it all. It's a staple of the current meta. In fact, we're going to be talking a whole lot about Destroy today, and Dak and Destroy pretty much does exactly what you need to do to get some cubes and get to infinite. You have multiple win conditions. You have your Deadpool win condition, you have your Dakin, whatever, win condition, and of course you have your Death win condition, and all of which kind of go together nicely with Taskmaster. You can play Death and Taskmaster, you can play Deadpool and Taskmaster, you can play, pretty much anything you want, and then Taskmaster, depending on how vertical things go. You have the verticality of the Venom, you have the added tech of Killmonger, which of course takes out the Shard as well. Overall, it's a deck that works wonders in the current meta, but if you're thinking about how to counter this deck, I've got you with the next one. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to play the meta, but also you kind of need to counter the meta at times as well. What you've got here is a Destroy deck that uses Nulls. It's the most expensive card, but Null's kind of the linchpin here of what makes this deck function, because you'll notice in the prior deck we talked about, which is one of the most popular in the current meta, it doesn't run Null. There's no space for it. It's not a combo-centric piece to that deck, so if you run Null, you basically win that mirror match. What's great about it as well is if you happen to do have Dakin, you can get rid of Sabretooth, put Dakin instead, and then you got yourself a pretty damn good deck as well. You're running Yondu to beef up the Null, feed the Death, but overall, it's a very straightforward Destroy-based list that, because of the Null, is going to do very well against the next deck we're talking about as well. I warned you guys that Destroy is all over the meta right now, and nothing destroys more cards than Galactus. Galactus is back, and what we've got here is the meta version of the current Galactus base list. Of course, it's using things like Hobgoblin in order to set up your Galactus play, because the new Galactus, of course, has to be winning the location, and also the only card there in order to proc its effect. So something like a Hobgoblin is not only disadvantageous to your opponent, but it also creates a wider spread for the single card of Galactus to win a location. You also have the secondary win condition of Shuri Nimrod Destroyer, which is absolutely fantastic. You could Shuri Nimrod Galactus if you're winning a specific location. There are multiple win conditions here that really work to this deck's advantage, so if you're looking to play Galactus, this is the one. Thanos controls, tried, tested, and true. I mean, what else do you want me to say other than this deck absolutely slaps? I know it's expensive with the inclusion of Jeff and Iron Lad, but there's no question that this deck is one of the absolute top performers in the meta. The ability to reach with Iron Lad, pull those Professor X's early, but most importantly, what really makes this deck function well is simply what Thanos does and these stones, right? The Time Stone getting the, the Professor X out on turn 4, Psylocke getting Professor X out on turn 4, basically getting anything out. 5 cost out on turn 4 is just straight value. These Devil Dinosaurs get absolutely massive. You're protecting with the Cosmos. This deck just works so damn well, and the addition of Jeff allows you to kind of maneuver around early plays with Professor X without the use of Daredevil. Honestly, it's a fantastic deck. Discard is making a comeback, which is absolutely fantastic because it saw some dark days while Spider-Ham went ham. That's right, you guys love that. Anyway, so Dak and Discard making a comeback here, bringing Discard back up, and it's on the back of, honestly, Absorbing Man. The tech of Absorbing Man is fantastic because if you play Dakin on turn 3, you add a shard to your hand. You play Absorbing Man on turn 4, guess what? You add another shard. And then suddenly you have even more to discard on turn 5 with MODOK. Your Morbius is running up like crazy, and your Dakin is reaching for the heavens in power, right? So there's a lot of really fun things you can do with this deck. It still has the functional kind of Dracula into Apocalypse, play your Chavez on turn 6, and then you basically Dracula hit your Apocalypse with playing MODOK down. Like, it has the traditional discard feel, but hey, Discard's back. It's on the back of Dakin, and what I love about it is that with Dakin's Shard, you actually don't even have to play it. You can just discard it, so you don't even have to commit the mana to it, especially when you have an absolute Chad like MODOK on your side. If you're looking to get to infinite, the anti-meta She-Not deck is an absolutely incredible choice. I'm telling you right now, especially with X23 coming out, this deck is going to carry you because you have just natural counters. You have armor, obviously, which Destroy completely hates. Cosmo. Basically, all of Destroy revolves around on reveals with the exception of Null. And, well, Null's not going to like Leech. So anyways, actually nobody likes Leech, let's be honest. So you pretty much have the entire Destroy meta just backed in a corner, and you just get to slap them in the face for their cubes with this anti-meta She-Not deck. Seriously, this deck absolutely slaps. If you're going to play anything in this list and you don't want to play meta Destroy, you're playing this to get to infinite. feel like it's been a hot minute since we've talked about Sarah Surfer, and I absolutely love Surfer, you know that. And ultimately, this is the current meta rendition of the deck. And the reason why Sarah Surfer is so interesting is because based on the meta conditions, there's always a 3-drop that answers what you need to handle in the current meta. And this current version does exactly that. So how does it do that? Well, of course, you have the Nova Killmonger package, which is great against the, the 1-drops you're going to see. And if you give up initiative, you can blow up the Deadpools and stuff like that. But that's not exactly what makes this deck so good. If you're playing as Galactus, you have Goose that counters Galactus. You can limit the locations that Galactus can play with Storm. You also have Polaris, which counters Galactus by dragging whatever they've played on turn 1 and 2 into a location that you're predicting they're going to be playing Galactus. You have Juggernaut that counters Galactus. You have, Shadow King, which counters the Destroy cards. It'll make a Venom a 3-drop again, or just 3 power, I should say. You have Rogue, which basically counters tons of different cards, but namely Null in the case that they play Galactus, and you're going to counter them with, a Rogue play on their Null. There's so many different options, and this current version of Sarah Surfer is what's going to carry you if you so choose to counter the meta just a little bit. Sometimes you got to go back to Ye Old Faithful, and Sarah Control is exactly that. It's probably the deck of 2023. It survived every single meta because it just does everything right. I mean, what can I even say at this point? You have answers to everything. You have the Shang-Chi, you got Enchantress, you got Killmonger, you have Scarlet Witch, you have one of the most slept on cards in Snap and Sentinel. It has a surprisingly high win rate, of course. We talked about it on Snapchat, but what you've got here is just a deck that does it all. It just, against the spread of all different archetypes, it performs very well. Honestly, if you just want to win cubes, if you just want to get to infinite, if you just want to win infinity tickets, you can play this for the rest of the year and probably be fine. It'll survive every meta, and it'll always be a consistent performer. With more players than ever getting their hands on Stature for the first time this week thanks to the Spotlight caches, many of you might be looking for a higher, further Stature style deck to allow you to use this card that just got added to your collection. Well, good news. This is a very meta relevant deck that's one of the top win rate decks in the current meta, and it's because of its namesake. Yes, Stature puts up great stats, it synergizes wonderfully with Black Bolt, although, let's be honest, Black Bolt is often just discarding a rock from Rockside or Korg. However, the other side of the namesake of the deck is Captain Marvel, who provides you with a ton of added versatility for this list, which naturally works beautifully with Zabu. Ultimately, this deck goes very high. It has wonderful tech built in with Shang-Chi and Enchantress. It basically is a very well-rounded list that does everything you need. If you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, but we were looking at here a sneak peek into next week because a lot of you guys can be getting your hands on Silk for the first time thanks to the Spotlight cache system. And we've got here a 72% win rate Conquest deck. It's one of the best in the game right now using Silk. It's just a deck that uses Silk to bounce back and forth through Kraven. You have the mobility of Captain Marvel, which accounts for Kraven. You got the vision. And of course, you got my favorite card in the game. You got Legion there as well. Spider-Man Morales to get that extra value with that Silk bouncing around. It's just a deck that works. I love the addition of Angela and Kitty Pryde because with Angela, you can always get that value with Kitty Pryde. And of course, you can use Kitty Pryde to proc your Silk to make it kind of move if you need it to move, right? Which benefits Kraven, benefits Morales and others, right? It's just an absolutely fantastic list and one of the top performers in terms of win rate in Conquest and in the current meta. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Got another video for you down below if you're interested in some more Marvel Snap content, and we'll see you in that next Marvel Snap video.